I was thinking about this topic this morning when I was just going through, what I could talk about. And it was just really just this thing that just popped into my mind, which was beating your wife is gay. And before I say anything, I have nothing but love for the LGBTQ community. This has nothing to do with that. And I know this sounds crazy. I know it sounds absolutely crazy as a title, right? I'm here to explain what I mean by that. So I realized that, like, in masculinity, in a lot of what we're taught as men, it's to, compartmentalize our feelings and drive them into anger, drive them into, working hard, all these types of things that don't allow us to express, emotions that are deemed as feminine or gay. Oh, that's gay, right? And I was thinking about that, and I was like, if people don't express their emotions, they start self-harming, they start beating their wife, they start doing this stuff that they shouldn't be doing, obviously. That's bad. But it's interesting, I think, at least as a male, consuming a lot of male content and seeing how the culture views, a lot of different things. If you sit here and you point at somebody and you say, hey, what you're doing is bad, they don't care. Like, and it's not because anyone's evil. It's because people want to know if they're fitting in relation to the role model that they've created. So if you're a man, if you're sitting here, you're strong as hell, if you're a warrior, if you're whatever the role model is, it doesn't matter if you're hated on, as long as you're fitting that role model correctly. So it's not like people are not trying to necessarily please everybody, but they're trying to fit the role model they're given. So, for example, I know I'm just talking very abstractly here, but if somebody is a man and they're insecure about, how manly they are, they're going to drive to be more masculine. That is their role. Oh, if I become the most masculine man ever, then I will not be insecure, and then I will accomplish my goal. Well, I see a lot of the most masculine men were also hated on for maybe good reason, right? But that doesn't matter because I'm trying to become more masculine. So I'm going to do what it takes to become masculine because I'm insecure about being masculine. And I know that people hate on a lot of masculine people, but I don't care about that criticism because I'm trying to achieve that role model. And that role model of the peak masculine man is hated on by some people and loved on by other people, right? So when you sit here and you point to somebody and you say, hey, beating your wife isn't masculine, they're going to be like, nah, I'm strong and shit. I don't know, like I don't see that conflicting with my image at all. And I'm not arguing for the cons of this. I'm arguing from the mindset of somebody who's insecure trying to achieve a goal. And I was thinking, how do we stop people from getting beat up? How do we stop these things from happening? And I thought to myself, what if you just said, yo, beating your wife is gay? And that's sad. It's like two wrongs make a right type shit. Because like calling things gay is not okay in our generation because it's demeaning of the LGBTQ community. But the target audience that cares about that is not the target audience we're speaking to a large degree at least. I don't think anyone who's sitting here trying to be a Spartan warrior and beating their wife is worried about people being homophobic. I don't think those target circles intersect at all. So how do we solve the problem of people projecting their emotions in the wrong ways, beating their wife, self-harm, whatever it is that is toxic masculinity? If you just called toxic masculinity gay, wouldn't you solve the problem? Because that's their worst fear. If they're aiming to be the peak masculine man and they somehow see gay people as the opposite of that, which, again, is not true. I'm on the side of y'all, first of all. I'm on the side of the gay people. I'm on the side of everybody, okay? You know what? Shout out to everybody. But I love gay people. Lil Nas X makes some great music, man. And Pete Buttigieg speaks really well. Gay people are awesome. I'm just trying to tell y'all, how do we stop the problem? If we battle a wrong with a wrong in terms of calling toxic masculinity and aspects of toxic masculinity gay, we might actually stop the problem. You know what I mean? Because this is how they think. I'm not even joking at this point. Like, if they're trying to aim for peak masculinity, you have to call the things they're doing feminine. That's more of an insult than calling it, bad. because they're not aiming, their goal is not aiming to be a moral person. That they're not optimizing that variable. They're optimizing the variable of masculinity. And I think this is the dichotomy we have, because as males, we're not taught the peak of what we're trying to achieve is being a good person. We're taught the peak is providing for the family and working hard and defending your title, which could actually make you evil in cases. And we're taught that that is okay, which I'm not saying is right or wrong, but that is the truth. You know, like we're taught that way. So in order to really change the paradigm, we have to basically align the aspects. If we're trying to make men good people, which I'm not saying men are bad people, but if we're trying to drive the male culture to seek being a good person first, which I don't think is any male's fault. I'm not here to trying to like hate on men, bro. I am one. I understand how hard it is, but we're taught to like be, you know, this super masculine person. If we just made our main intention being a good person, I think we'd be in a lot better case. You know, we'd be a lot happier too. But problem is, you can't just do that because that's gay, right? So if we associated what is considered being a bad person with not being masculine, in fact, being the enemy of masculinity, which is quote unquote gay, right? Then you could take and combine these two wrongs to actually create the cultural shift that you truly want, in my opinion. It sounds so incredibly crazy, I know, but I just wanted to put this out there because this is a thought that I just had. And I know if someone looks at the title, they're going to, I don't know what they're going to think of me, but you know what? Chase your fears, bro. Don't be afraid to be judged. I hope that helps. I hope if that makes any sense, if that makes any sense, just comment something, because I don't know if I just fucked up everything with this.